Tottenham Hotspur have just won their first major trophy in 17 years at the hands of Ange Postecoglou. However, despite winning this trophy and despite jetting off for a nice little holiday, the manager is still rumoured to get the sack because of his 17th place league finish in the Premier League this season. And in all honesty, it is not good enough, as I'm going to come in as the new Tottenham manager, rebuilding a very young team, and hopefully can beat a 17th place finish, get performing in the Premier League again, and winning more trophies, taking this club to its full potential, and then eventually winning the Champions League. Yes, people, here we are, Tottenham Hotspur, and I've got to say, the team that starts off here, no wonder it did finish low in the league. Richarlison up front, and then Brennan Johnson, not very high rated. A good player on his day, and definitely a good player at Nottingham Forest. When he was over there, as the best player at the club is a 32-year-old Heung-min Son, with a contract expiring in 11 months. We've got Vicario, Cuti Romero, Mickey van der Veen, and the first glimpse of an injury. Kulusevski, he's only out for 8 days. And this is why I say it was a little unfair that Ange Postecoglou was actually sacked. Tottenham were riddled with injuries from the off this year. And I do feel really sorry for Ange, as back again with the challenges, and the first challenge is kind of Ange-linked, even though he's not here anymore. The first Australian Greek manager to do something special in Europe for Tottenham. So the first challenge is we must sign both a Greek player and an Australian player, which must be in the team in the final season, which is going to be fairly difficult to manage, as strap yourselves in for just a major rebuild here. 103 million. Now, it might seem a lot. We might seem like we can get lots, but this team is going to take some altering. And the first thing I actually want to do, it is me taking over Tottenham. I do want to change to a 5 at the back formation. Son, like I just said, getting old. We've got Brennan Johnson. Meh. I'd probably make Brennan Johnson a backup cam, use Kulusevski in the first season there, and go 5 at the back, because I don't want to be sacked like Ange Postecoglou. We're adding Dragus into the defence. Now, a player I want to get the most out of. We've also got Archie Gray, who could play at right back or centrally. Wilson Odobert, whose shooting isn't the best, but if he could be a cam, we could be sorted, as that's kind of sorted me. The player's running out of contract apart from Basuma, and Son, I don't actually want to keep at the club long term. Bentancur just not in my plans. I've got plans for another midfield signing, so Johnson to a cam. Same with Wilson Odobert. Son takes 29 weeks somehow to be a striker, and Archie Gray 11 weeks to be a centre-back. That is perfect. I want to see that player flourish, but despite that, I've got a load of transfer listed players, and Archie Gray gets himself a loan listing. Because here is the first signing, doing a Mickey van der Ven move, because he's coming from Wolfsburg. Konstantinos Kouliarakis. This man is perfect. He's only 21. He's got pace for a defender, and he's left-footed, so slot straight into our defence. Dragusin, I'm sorry, you're a bench player now. As also, I want to shuffle this team around a little bit more. I want Sarr in the team. You can see I've gone Solanke and Maddison in the centre mid slot. I am going to closely watch him. Maddison plays better as a playmaker, but that's Kulusevski's role. As our role now is to sell players, so Bentancur the first one out. Then we've got Emil Højbjerg. He's somehow getting a move to Manchester City. And Brian Hill, let's be honest, I was never going to use the Beatle lookalike. He's going to Fenerbahce. He's going to link up with Jose Mourinho. And them youngsters that didn't get loan deals out will be coached thoroughly by the coaches now at the club. Leaving one thing now to do to complete our first Tottenham objective in honour of Ange Postecoglou, and that is to sign this tricky Australian player. Let me introduce you here to Mohamed Toure, now an Australian striker. He is 22-year-old. Unfortunately, we couldn't loan him out season 1 due to him just joining the club, but that's the player I'm actually having faith in. So yes, I'm loaning him out next year, because yes, he needs to be in our final squad. 71 rated isn't good, especially when Mickey Moore's higher. Same with Alejo Valise, and then same with Jan Min Hyuk. Our highest rated is Mickey van der Veen. We've got Porro up there, and for the lone boys, Archie Gray, as well as Odebear now 75 or 79. I cannot count. And Heung-min Son is going down, hence why I signed Torre. And as a striker, it keeps him up by 1. Then the rest of the players we position swapped, actually, I decided to loan out. So Solanke was our top scorer, then Son, then Dejan Kulusevski. However, if you noticed, Pedro Porro scored 10 goals from right wing back. That's why I changed to this shape at the back. I wanted him going forward. Udogie needs to get more. Koulirakis has now joined to the 80 club, and I think that team for season 1 is pretty solid. As here is the second objective, because I forgot to mention, we ticked that first one off. Australian and Greek signed, as now we just need to win a domestic English trophy. Yes, the Europa League was won, but now we need that bragging right in our own country. And it's been 17 years since Tottenham won one, and that's better than 17th. Third in the Premier League, Champions League football with Villa, the rivals Arsenal, and Liverpool topping the Premier League. As Crystal Palace unbelievably make it back-to-back FA Cup wins. We were dumped out by Newcastle in the 3rd round, the first we entered, and then Aston Villa win the Carabao, so unfortunately no domestic trophy anywhere. However, a Super Cup miraculously against PSG and Desiree Doué, a game that a lot of people think Tottenham are going to get absolutely smashed in, which I can't lie, could happen, and then we do finish 8th in the Champions League, avoiding a playoff game and beating Juventus 4-3. I mean, that's all it's going to be. Imagination, because we're beaten by Benfica. Horrible result to get, and that is a team I think we should be beating. And we should be beating the ratings we currently have in the squad. I'm going to beef up the squad. I'm going to sign more players. We don't just need a Greek and an Australian player. We do need a lot more, and I just want to ask one thing from you guys as well, to leave a like and subscribe on the road to 60k. I think 60,000 subscribers before FC26 has a good ring to it as £141 million in our budget. And that can go a long way with this squad. We definitely do need a new striker, but Torre, well, this season, we definitely know we're going to be loaning him out. Maybe the same with Lucas Bergvall, because I really want him to hit his potential. And then we've got our loan players back like Valise, Divine I didn't mention, Moore, Gray, Odebear, they're just going to be brilliant if they get improving as position swaps as well. Odebear needs to be a cam, and then more the same, who's probably going to change before him even. We've got Divine as a cam, and now I think Maddison's going to have to sit a little bit more in that centre mid role alongside Basuma and alongside Pape Sarr. Not giving up on the Archie Gray dream though. He's going to be a centre back because when he was out on loan in, I think it was the French league, his strength's gone up. And with the signing of Koulirakis, we're going to be making a decision between Gray and Dragusin very soon. And then Cuti Romero, he's turned 28, so he's not getting any younger. Same with Son, who is now 33, and he's just rejected a new contract. Now, this is confusing to me because I do want to play Torre in the future, but we do need an old striker in the meantime to go up front. I trust Solanke for goals, and now if we do get an old striker who can decrease in his rating, I think that's the move to make, but the only problem is we need another aging striker who is going to replace Sonny and go up front with Dominic Solanke. Like, Patrick Schick would have been perfect, but I feel like having two tall strikers, it isn't a very good mix. He's just made the move to AC Milan. Patrick Schick is off the table, so again we need to go striker veteran searching. And has it been under our nose all along? Harry Kane coming back to England, winning a trophy after winning with Bayern. I don't know though. I just feel Harry Kane's such a cop-out. I've done it before in the Spurs 10-season rebuild. So I'm going to go differently. And this man is Ollie Watkins. He's had links with Arsenal, so it's a little bit of a psychological advantage over the rivals. And he's 30, so his rating will start to decrease soon. Plus, it's an English partnership up front now, which hopefully work together for the Free Lions, allowing us to loan out players like Bergvall. And you know what? We could slip another signing in. Someone for the middle of the pack, because Gray's going to play in the defence, Sarr's not fully a centre mid yet, and Maddison, like I said, does like to play further forward. Slipped this man onto the bench. He's called Siddiqui. He's from DR Congo. He was found in the Pro League for 20 million. A bit of a steal. Now that Divine's on the bench, Archie Gray is 84 rated, so he could replace Koulirakis, but I do want to keep our Greek man going, as he was one of the objectives, and the other one is right here. Now a +7 for Mohamed Toure, playing out there in the Championship. With Sunderland, as Moore got a loan loan deal to Man United. Bergvall to Napoli, the winners of the Scudetto in real life. And then Brennan Johnson, Deportivo Riestra, where of course he's improved. No idea why he was there, as Pedro Porro is insane in this career mode. That wingback role has worked for him. He's got 6 goals this season, so not as many as last, but look at our 2 English strikers go. Hopefully 2 English strikers can just equal 1 English trophy. That is the only objective we have. But unfortunately in the Premier League, the rivals pip us to the post. 3 points, but it's a 2nd place finish, which isn't bad. In the FA Cup, no, it goes to Liverpool. We were beaten by them in the round of 16. A bit of a shame. As I'm going to skip over the Carabao for now, I'm going to check on the Champions League, which wasn't really good. We still are a building team, and Bergvall's team actually beat us in Napoli, as then Real Madrid beat Paris in the final. And the Carabao Cup, get in. We've done it. We've completed objective 2 with a 2-0 win over the rivals Chelsea in the Carabao Cup finale. That is trophy number 1 ticked off, but also more importantly, in our 4 challenge rebuild, that is challenge number 2 off the list. However, this is where it gets harder, and you might have already been expecting this. You won't expect challenge 4 because that is going to be rock solid. But Daniel Levy's not happy with 1 trophy, or 2, because we're still counting the Europa League. He wants us to go out there and win a treble somehow. Now, I've just scoured Transfermarkt, So FIFA, and the rest of the websites. I can't see it popping up anywhere that Tottenham have won a treble previously. And as you just saw there, release some players. I think Son went and retired because I cannot find him anywhere in the market, but Richie back to Everton. He's a player I do think under David Moyes would do really well in the Everton team in real life, as now 2 90 rated defenders. That kind of sets us in good stead for a Champions League push maybe, or should I say even a treble, as we've got more back from Man United, Bergvall back from Napoli. He's only 21 still. We've got to get him in the team. Then same with Brennan Johnson and Odobert and Torre. Just a shame we've got good players on the bench and Odobert is just not training as a cam. Whereas Moore only takes 9 weeks now and an Englishman as backup to Kulusevski. Or Brennan, 26 weeks. Brennan Johnson could be a star. As we've just got to keep on investing, but only £19 million to spend. It might just be 1 signing, but a signing that could make us treble contenders. As first thing I've got to say, when you look at the Premier League this season, yes, we finished 2nd last year, and you cannot really go out there and aim to win the Premier League, especially in FC25. Cup competitions are probably easier to win, but we've got Sunderland, Norwich, Middlesbrough, a couple of Championship IRL teams. I think we should be winning this division. I think we should be above Arsenal. Manchester City have had a bit of a drop-off. Although the quality is there to see. You can see they've got 90 rated. They do have Højbjerg, who I did just skip over, and I think we've got to sign just 1 big marquee player, which I haven't done just yet. And the first one out the club is Maddison, because we do have Lucas Bergvall. I think this will make Roy Keane a happy man.
What a big baby. Just get on with the game, baby.
He goes to Liverpool. A bit of a rival, but still he's 30-year-old. I think, yes, they're getting stronger, but it gives us more money to get stronger ourselves with. And then the second thing I did want to do is loan out Mohamed Torre to get some game time, and the only deal we have on the table is from Arsenal. Genuinely, no. I'd rather sell him, even though he's an objective player, as that's better. Brighton, a team that develops players, and he's on a 2-year loan, meaning we might have to recall him at some point, and 115 million for a central midfielder that can help us win the treble. As I'm going over to Celta Vigo, I have no idea how Pablo Barrios has left Atleti for them. A man I'm kind of jealous of. Yes, I kind of did used to play midfield when I played football, but I'm talking about the quiff. Look at his haircut. Mine looks like a wet dog, since now we've got a solid team. We've got 90 rated in the defence. In fact, there is 4 of them. And one of the first things that I claimed was Ollie Watkins will go down in his rating. Now, 32 goals just still behind Dominic Solanke. And Toure, well, it hasn't showed his goals and everything at Brighton, but he is now 83 rated at 24, a little bit left behind, which was my fear from this season. As look at the team of the year. Now, you can tell we've got 90 rated defenders, but Archie Gray has somehow snuck in. A player not in the starting 11, and I targeted it, and we win it. We got 87 points. We get the Premier League title as trophy 1. Oh my days, though. Wow. The hunt for a treble, and Bristol City beat us in the FA Cup. Now, I know Tottenham aren't technically bottle jobs because of their Europa League victory, but that is pure bottle job. We really needed it when it mattered. I didn't get the win, as the Carabao is not won. It's Chelsea's. The rivals who beat us on penalties stop us from hitting our objectives. We're gonna have to go again as 15th in the Champions League. That is terrible. A huge win against Dortmund, 8-3 on aggregate, and then a 4-1 against Leipzig. We do like playing our German teams, and if we could win the Champions League, it would be a confidence boost, but it wouldn't complete our objectives as Ajax beaten 3-2. However, then in the semi-finals, losing to Barrios's ex-club Atleti. Bit of a sour taste in my mouth. I hate finishing on objectives not completed in a season. It means another season, we've got to go again. And I hate the fact that also we needed a Greek player and Australian. The Greek player's now getting benched for Archie Gray, despite him being left-footed. And the Australian is still out on loan with an 89 and a 90 above him. Now, I know they're both getting older. That's the only thing I'm holding out hope on. Then again, once they retire, we're going to get worse ourselves. As position swaps, finally, Brennan Johnson, rating doesn't change. Hopefully it does in Mickey Moore, but no, at least he's still 20 years old though. Kulusevski getting no younger, but he's only 28 still? Is it just me that thought this man was ancient? I think he joined from Juventus. However, before that, he was at Atalanta, and Cuti Romero was signed from this Italian club, going to Tottenham. So I think I'm going to go through this route again. They've got Johan Boni, and I just saw the main man, Rayan Cherki. Now he's chose Atalanta. Weird move if you ask me, and they've got some very decent players here, but we have our own striker out on loan. We have a 91 rated goalie. So no, I'm not going to go to Atlanta again, which I really thought I would. In fact, do I actually sign anyone? Do I trust this team to win a treble? I mean, we can't really see the ratings, but do I trust this team to win a treble? I mean, on the bench, Odebear, he's not in a decent position to actually play. And Velise is still at the club. Now, do we lease him out by selling him? Also, Siddiqui, not improved as much as I wanted him to do, but he's behind Bergvall. The only player I'm really unsure on is Jed Spence at 27, but he wants a sporadic role, so I'm going to let him bloody take it. I want to keep all the players happy here, but Mohamed Toure at Brighton now, 96 pace, 83 physical, 82 shooting, screaming out at me. Screw it for £1 million. I don't want him out on a 2-year loan. I am going to be recalling him. He's back in the Tottenham Hotspur squad. We need this man improving. We need the Aussie in memory of Ange. So there he goes onto the bench. The bench that should be winning a treble. And sometimes it seems like keeping the same squad together can be the best option, because we've blown our points tally out the water. 94 points. Caesars grab our first trophy, but we've been here before. Then we were stopped in a final and stopped in the semis, as we do win the Community Shield. But now, I don't like to count it, but I think for today we've got to count it. We've got to get onto the final challenge, which is ridiculous, by the way. I can't believe it when I saw it. I didn't make the challenge, I had someone make it for me. But that is it completed, because we go ahead and win the FA Cup over Brentford 2-1. Get in there, but the Carabao, oh my days as well. It's a quad, not just a treble. Get them trophies in the cabinet. Get in there, Tottenham Hotspur. Imagine if we win the Champions League as well, because that's not the final objective. It's slightly different as we finish 6th above Man United, above Real Madrid. Beating Dortmund 7-2 on aggregate is unbelievable. Wow, okay. The team I refused to make a signing from, Atalanta, actually beat us. Maybe we did need to make a signing after all to weaken them, but this team is, again, not getting any weaker. Now, Kouliarakis is staying in the lineup. apart from that, it's mostly 90 ratings. We've got Brennan Johnson on the bench at 88, Bergvall at 85, Torre at an 86, but he has to be in the team for the final challenge, which if you flash back to the intro, I said we had a lot of young players here at Tottenham. However, for this final challenge, we must go ahead and win the Champions League with no one over the age of 27 in our squad. And yes, you did just hear me right. I say squad, not starting 11, so we've got a few players over that age, including some of our best ones. Ollie Watkins, Vicario, Romero, Solanke, Porro, Kulusevski, Van der Veen, Brennan Johnson. All must be scrapped because Tottenham have a new philosophy. Win that Champions League, but make a young squad, and also the owner Daniel Levy wants to make a bit of profit. That's why he's selling the older generation and wants us to put it into some younger players below 27. This is going to be a pain. At least we have some 90 rateds under that age like Sarr, Barrios and Udogie, and 114 million before the selling commences right now. This is an objective I did not expect to have. I generate all my objectives, but if you do have any for a video, comment them below and pick a video they could go on. For example, a Tottenham Hotspur specific objective as Johnson going to Manchester United. I don't mind selling to some rivals because our objective is not to win the Premier League. It's actually to win the Champions League. I hate getting rid of all our good players. Vicario out. You just saw Dominic Solanke going to Manchester City. Dejan Kulusevski getting a move to Bournemouth for almost 200 million. Ollie Watkins has gone to Newcastle. Van der Ven to Atleti Madrid for a lot of money. Jed Spencer's moved on. And now we do have a team under 27-year-old all round. Meaning signings can begin. We're starting off with Bayer. The first thing I want to do is actually change the formation to 2 up front, and this man will be one of them. I'll show you the formation in a second, but the budget, he's just cost a bit of it, but we've almost got, well, in the middle it says we've got £1 billion to spend, or more like 800 mil, but now more like 650, because Francisco Lopez, this goalkeeper, has cost us a lot of money. He comes in from the Bundesliga alongside Eduardo Quaresma. A centre-half, not overly great, but that's almost our team completed. We've still got a couple of young players in there like Gray, Sarr, Bergvall, Udogie still at left back. And remember that team I was going to bid from, who eventually beat us in the Champions League, Atalanta? I think it is time we took off them. The first one is Daniel Maldini, son of the legendary defender. And then we've got Brian Brobby. We've got Mattia Zanotti, a right back from Italy. Then to round out a record on FC25 of 7 signings in one window, we have Christopher Woo, the centre-back. Woohoo! We've got this man. I know nothing about him also. I've just put the Tottenham away kit on because this is the kit they made it to the final in. The Warrior against Bodo Glimt, the game before they made a final. So that's what I'm hoping this team is at. I'm hoping it's at the stage where there's a finale next. And we've done a complete rebuild of this. You can see the highest rated player is Pablo Barrios, one of the world's best. 95 overall. This Lopez keeper I found. It might be the world's best goalkeeper at this moment in time. Kouliarakis has grown to an 89. Same now as Mohamed Torre. And as you can see, there's the ages of the players. Now, there is some over 28, but I'm going to let it slide, obviously, because when we signed them at the start of the year, we did make sure Tottenham had a young squad, all under 27, as Barrios was our top scorer, 39 goals from central midfield. And we kind of need to win the Champions League this season, because then players who are 28 won't be allowed here next year. We'll have to do another massive rebuild, but we do with the Premier League title and the Community Shield over the rivals in Arsenal. However, they get the FA Cup, but still, put a Premier League in our trophy cabinet. That is huge. And then another win against a rival in West Ham United for the Carabao Cup title. So that's 2 trophies. Maybe it could be a treble if we do win the Champions League. And we are second, joint with Real Madrid. Now, do we get anything out of the round of 16? A 3-0 over Bilbao. Then a penalty win against Leipzig. Wow, I haven't seen a penalty win in a long time, but I will take it. Before then, Milan in the semi-finals. And you know what that means? finals! A final in the Champions League for Tottenham Hotspur against Paris Saint-Germain, a team they will face in the Super Cup at the start of this current year, which everyone has Tottenham tipped to lose in dramatic fashion. There they are, the lads that have just won the Champions League lining up. It is 5 years later in time in this save to when they've just done it IRL, and this is a completely different team and formation to what I thought I would be doing it with. The only player in the team that hasn't grown. Archie Gray filling in at right back for Zanotti, who was not the rating I would have hoped, and Barrios filling in at the left-hand side. Mikey Moore there with a good ball through to Torre. A lot of playstyle pluses in this team. That's something I wanted as Upamecano in the way of our number 9. But one player that feels really fast in this save, not only Barrios with the slick footwork, it's Mikey Moore if we can get the ball to him. Or Sarr, look at his footwork. It's Pape Sarr around his man. He shoots at Donnarumma, and then how did he put it that far from the net? Almost a certain goal as now Archie Gray is playing out of position. Is his crossing all right for an ex-centre-back? It is, because it falls to Barrios. Oh, wait, but no. What? The lino? What's the lino doing? What? How? Oh, it was Torre. Oh my days, I thought it were a goal. That's a chemistry problem because we've just put this team together. But Torre, can he turn provider? This time, that's a good ball into Bayer, offside. Second time in the game. 2 goals. 2 disallowed. It's definitely a chemistry thing. It's the timing of the passing because we're always offside and Bayer doesn't pass at all. It gives it to Kvicha, but a good tackle by Bergvall. Torre, can you find Bayer? He goes through the middle into the German. It's a slick turn. It's a good shot, but it is a save by Donnarumma. At least we've been dominant in this game and we've looked fitter with the younger team. Mikey Moore tries from range. It is caught by the Italian. Third time lucky. Come on, look at Barrios. Look at the footwork. And Torre, acres of space for the Aussie as he needs to score, and he does under Donnarumma. Third time is a charm. He was offside for the first move. He celebrates with his strike partner. And finally, the man I trusted. The Australian, part of the rules that we set for this rebuild, scores the goal. We needed him. We needed Kouliarakis, and they might have won the UCL. With Tottenham Hotspur as in the second move after that, there was no move. It's the whistle. It is the final one, making Tottenham the champions. Properly of Europe this time, and Cuti Romero's gone, so Sarr's the man to lift the trophy. That's good, because he's an original player here. In a real big turnover. If you like seeing a lot of signings, let me know. I'll try and make sure in future rebuilds I do more. But for now, if you do subscribe and like, I will love you forever. And also, click here for a video YouTube's recommending you.